Uh, Hi, I'm Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, where we watch old 16 millimeter films. And that film was a Castle film. So it was distributed by Castle. It was made by, I believe, iWorks, who was one of the geniuses of what really made Disney amazing back in the day. And so made some other cartoons for other companies on his own. And so this one, I believe, had a soundtrack. But Castle, they would market and produce and distribute for home markets where there weren't a lot of sound projectors. So this one was like a lot of Castle films and Black Hawk films. Instead of there being a soundtrack, they just put in intertitles, which doesn't work for, this obviously had musical numbers and dancing and singing. So at some point I'll try to hunt down, I'm sure there's a copy out in the world of the actual cartoon. But the unique thing here is that this is in color, and most Castle films were not in color. So, at least that early on. So, fascinating. This one doesn't have a title, but we're calling it Spills and...
This happy pair make figure skating look deceptively simple, their wealth of talent hiding the unending practice hours necessary to achieve such artistry. They capture first place Olympic honors and end with the skaters' au revoir. They're off on the speed skating dash, with competition roaring hot on the oval ice rink. In the Olympics, 2 men skate at a time, and each is clocked separately. America and Norway fight it out, straining every fiber and muscle to swiftly cover the icy course. Finn Helgeson of Norway forges ahead and sets up a new Olympic record for the 500-meter event. 43 1/10 seconds as he crosses the line. More speed as the daring bobsled riders face a mile of sheer ice, downhill and around breakneck curves. Despite sub-freezing winds biting their exposed faces, they rocket down the icy course, oblivious to the elements. In both the 2-man and 4-man events, Americans take high honors and boost their scores to new heights. And now, beauteous Barbara Ann Scott, Canada's sparkling ballerina of the ice, thrills the crowds to loud applause and shouts of bravo with an outstanding exhibition of figure skating. This is the tremendous moment for the 19-year-old Queen of the Ice. Difficult spins, turns, and jumps appear effortless as she delineates the most difficult routines in graceful, rhythmic style. Long before the judges announce their scores, the cheering crowds acclaim Miss Scott the winner and champion of all in her class. Here, Canada's glamorous ambassadress exceeds the expectations of her host of admirers. Beauty and talent flash to new brilliance as her teammates hold high the queen of the flashing blades. Another Olympic and World's Championship is in the making as 18-year-old Richard Button of Englewood, New Jersey, makes a clean sweep of both the school figures and free skating. the New Jersey lad gives the most amazing exhibition of his career in a flawless display of ice artistry, overcoming the lead of his staunch competitor from Switzerland. Jumps and tingling spins executed with grace and precision lift the New Jersey lad's point standing far and above all rivals. His mastery of the art belies his youth and outshines all more mature competition. Dick Button, Prince of the Silver Blades. Another victory in the making for Uncle Sam as 31 women plummet down the zigzag slalom course, cutting corners with twists and turns in a race against time. Forging ahead of all competition is Mrs. Gretchen Fraser of Vancouver, Washington, who makes a spectacular run to capture the slalom honors for America for the first time in history. Pigtails and all. Now all eyes are at attention as the 1948 Winter Olympics hit a new high in speed and excitement. Danger lurks along the treacherous slopes as the downhill ski experts pit their skill against the vast alpine reaches of snow and ice. It's speed, speed, and more speed as down they come in a spine-tingling exhibition of sheer wizardry on skis. Fear is forgotten as they plummet down the tortuous run. When they spill fast, and many come to grief on the hazardous slopes. Some lose their balance and hit hard, but where there's a will, there's a way. And he has the will, and he's away again, undaunted. Come over the snow-covered slopes as the Winter Olympics come to a roaring finish and become sports history, as nations meet in a spirit of friendly competition and brotherhood.
Exotic Honolulu. Here where white-crested combers roll in on famed Waikiki Beach, the sport is riding the surf, not the sea. These outrigged canoes of traditional native design, built for swift passage in the boiling surf, though seaworthy, are extremely tricky to handle. Roaring in on the foaming crest, only expert teamwork and perfect coordination are between a thrill and a crashing spill. But surfboarding is the island pastime, probably more closely associated with Waikiki than even the hula. Paddling out these 100-pound slabs of koa wood is no easy job for the novice, for it takes practice and plenty of back muscle. Finding an incoming wave, the rider assumes his stance on the slope of the roller just ahead of the crest. Using one foot as a rudder, no little skill is required to hold one of these dancing planks on the crest of a comber that may reach a height of 15 feet before breaking. Watch it, cowboy! Oh, what a spill! But others go on to new records, new racing laurels. Larger and faster, these streamlined torpedoes fairly fly over the Potomac in their dash for the President's Cup, their thundering engines driving them frantically through the churning waters. They skid dangerously around the hairpin turns in their death-defying struggle for fame and fortune. Bluebird II, built and designed by that racing king of speed, Sir Malcolm Campbell, is the fastest thing afloat. Here on the placid waters of Lake Coniston, she is launched for a trial run. And she's away with Campbell at the wheel, hitting an all-time record speed.
Ooh. Yeah, so that was obviously two different shorts that were spliced together, and neither one of them had, I saw, any type of title information. So, yeah, these are little remnants over the years. And so this is what I've noticed. A lot of times titles are missing because somebody threaded the projector and didn't do it right. And so the film gets shredded, and so they kind of clip it. Other times, I have a library of, it's from Buffalo Public Schools Library, and they would sometimes take a film that was like a promotional film that had some science or some history in it, and they would clip the titles, and then they would make their own title that was like letters on burlap, and then shoot that, and then that would be the new title. And so that was kind of interesting that they did that. That's resourceful, but yeah. All right, what do we got? So somebody asked me how many films I'm showing today, and I should just say that I schedule a bunch of films, but I don't always get to them, and I bounce around based on how I'm feeling or the response of what people are feeling, or the film. If a film, a lot of films I show I haven't watched. So I watch a film, I get a certain vibe out of it, and I'm like, oh, well, this film will be perfect for that. A next one to follow up. And sometimes I don't even think that much about it and just kind of let it roll. So this next film has nothing to do with the previous film. This is those first two films were from the Orgone Archive. My friend Greg Pierce took off yesterday, but still left some films for us to scan, so we'll be scanning more of those. But this was one that I scanned from my collection. It's called Sex Role Development, and it is definitely a 70s film. Enjoy.
Boys are strong. Girls are graceful. Boys are policemen. Girls are meter maids. Girls are nurses. Boys invent things. Girls use what boys invent. Boys build houses. Girls keep houses. And when you grow up...
aggressive, powerful, competent. These are words that are used to describe boys and men. Weak, fragile, incompetent perhaps, illogical, emotional. These are the kind of phrases and words that people use to describe girls, women, when they grow up. We don't know, of course, whether these really are God-given kind of characteristics of people, the way perhaps our society likes to believe, or maybe arbitrary characteristics of people essentially passed on to them by parents, by peers, playmates, by institutions that have sort of formal educational systems that tell people what they ought to be. The child is born and it either has a penis or it has female genitalia. The label is attached, all sorts of things start happening over and above the anatomy.
Congratulations, Mr. Jones. It's a boy. Mr. Smith, it's a lovely, healthy girl.
Now, Timmy, I told you big boys don't cry. Go back out there and hit Billy back. You can defend yourself without running to me.
Mommy, Johnny hit me in school. There, precious. Tell Mama what that mean, nasty bully did to you. Just washed that dress. When will you ever learn to act like a lady?
That Timmy. He's all boy.
Can I try that?
So silly. Boys don't play with paper dolls.
Studies have demonstrated that the stereotypes exist in lots of different individual ways. One specific example is a study in which students were asked to rate the quality of a piece of research that was attributed very unobtrusively by presenting the name of the author to either a woman or a man. The results were that when attributed to a man, the article was judged to be of higher quality than when attributed to a woman. These kind of results occur again and again in a variety of fields, various sorts of studies, and the findings hold for both sexes. That is to say, the stereotypes exist in the minds of the men and of the women in these studies. Many stereotypes, of course, have some grains of truth, and some associated with sexual stereotypes perhaps do. We don't know really what the grain of truth is to the many stereotypes that we've mentioned. For example, there probably is, in fact, some physical difference between boys and girls, men and women. which has a pure biological basis, starting from genetics through hormones, anatomy, physiology, which makes, for example, men more successful runners, say in a 100-yard dash. There's a clear difference in the speed with which boys, as compared to girls, can traverse a distance like this. But of course, one of the important concepts growing out of sex role research is that of androgyny, namely the idea that people can take the best of the sex roles associated with women, associated with men, and combine them in a creative fashion which gives them essentially flexibility. Flexibility to act aggressively when the situation demands it, flexibility to act emotionally when the situation demands it. The only way we can really be sure to what extent stereotypes are a function of biology or environment is to assume that people are absolutely malleable. Let them grow individually, and let's see where that takes us.
This thing over here, what is that?
Richard and Carol Friedlander are typical of the increasing number of parents exploring this non-traditional concept of androgyny. Their 3-year-old son, Joshua, reflects the open attitudes of his home environment.
We're making lunch.
We are, that's the truth. As a child, I was taught the things around the house that one has to do for survival, like sewing on a button, or cooking my own dinner, or washing the dishes after I finished cooking, or cleaning up the bathroom after I was finished in there. And there really was no separation of the sexes in terms of that. Everybody sort of cleaned up after themselves and took care of themselves. These pancakes are just about ready. And I thought that was a very valid way to teach my own child. And that's what I've been trying to do, and I know Carol has been trying to do that. Just sort of being and not trying to separate roles and say one does this and one does that, but rather one does what has to be done.
Mommy!
Yeah?
Where are you?
What smells so good?
We can put some syrup on your
I think of us as 3 people living together, sharing things together, but within that sharing is the understanding that everybody is somewhat responsible for his own being. I mean, we all love each other and we do things for one another, but there are certain things that you have to learn to do for yourself.
You guys cooked, so I think I'm going to clean up. Would anybody help me? Huh? Can I get any help around here?
Watch out.
Okay. Part of eating is cleaning up after you've finished eating and finished cooking. And there are times when I'll do the cleaning up and times when Carol will do the cleaning up, and inevitably Joshua will be a part of it regardless of who the leader is, because we all sort of pitch in. It's just a part and parcel of everything that's being done.
Oh, thank you.
I like the idea of his knowing that you would put the same amount of energy into the fun thing of making the pancakes as you would into the maybe not so much fun thing of cleaning up afterwards. I wouldn't want him to feel that there are things that are more valid or less valid for him because he happens to be male. I think that many people make distinctions between boys and girls from the minute that they're born. I think that they have in their mind the direction that they want their male child to go and their female child to go, and they begin preparing them for that from birth. That's not my philosophy.
It seems to me that preparing a child from birth to be something is a goal-oriented life, and to me that seems to remove so much of just growing up and being happy in the world. So much of life is missed when you're constantly looking ahead as to what you're going to be when you grow up and what you're going to do when you grow up. So I would try to avoid that at all costs. It does upset me to see other people doing it, but that's really not my business. And I would hope that some of what we do around other people would rub off on them, and maybe they will stop pushing their children in those directions.
Richard has often used the example of the horse with blinders on. When you set your sights for something and you're looking off into the distance, sometimes you miss some really lovely things along the way. And what we hope that we're doing is letting Joshua grow up without blinders on. And if he wants to move to the left or to the right of the straight ahead, I like to hope that we've given him the opportunity to do it.
Here I am. How are you this morning? Very well, I thank you. Run away. Run away.
Oh, that was good. I feel secure in Joshua's relationship with his father. The most important factor in this, in my mind, is Richard. He knows that he's a man. And I think that his security and who he is will be shown to Joshua.
Emotion is an important motivating factor towards doing things in life. Feeling a great love, crying when you feel the need to cry, laughing when you feel the need to laugh. I myself can't segregate these things and say one is good and one is bad. Do you want to read this with me, Josh? What is that? Right now, we don't have the proper feedback from the world to determine whether what we're doing is right or not. It just feels right and seems proper, and it's just part of being alive.
Can you do another one?
How about this one? Little boy, come blow your... The sheep's in the meadow. The
Cows in the corn.
Where is the little boy who looks after the sheep?
On the haystack.
Fast asleep.
Fast asleep. No hair.
The world expands. Parental influence declines. Teachers, peers, and playmates predominate. Pacific Oaks is one of many schools concerned with maintaining a non-stereotyped environment during these formative years.
When we talk about development, we include all of the things that go to make up a child's total growth. And though we are involved in an educational setting, we are very concerned with aspects that are sometimes neglected in the education of the child. One of those in the area of emotional development has to do with how children develop their sex role identity. And from the research, the indications are that typically in the preschool years, this becomes a critical time for a child's sex role development. In providing experiences that are the same for boys and girls, we hope to get rid of some of the artificial differences that we once thought perhaps were significant. And through that process, discover then what really might be the important and significant differences between men and women in our particular society.
Gotta push it. Forward. Feel the difference? Okay. Beautifully done. You're really good at that. Oh, I'm sorry.
You getting that? Maybe if I hold it, it'll help you.
Like that?
Uh-huh. Just like that. And then we need about one more right here. Okay, you know something me and Ken found out, you can sew right over the top of these. It's really, yeah, it's really neat. So let me put it on here.
I hold it like this, right?
You can put one hand on this side, and I'll help you, if, you know, when it starts coming through. Here we go. Right. We try to provide, you know, a well-rounded experience.
At informal daily staff meetings, the Pacific Oaks teachers continually reevaluate the goals and philosophies they share.
I mean, we value the whole person. You know, really, Pat says it much better than I do.
Right.
That it's a celebration of the human being, you know, an environment that supports an individual arriving at their own level.
I think what happens sometimes in the yards in general, and it transcends the whole thing of the sex roles, is really the formulation of helping relationships between people in general, using the term people once again, because children in the yard discover that there might be a child who could be a girl or a boy who's really able to do something, let's say at the carpentry table, or somewhere else, and he or she can call upon that other person to help do that. So I think we tend not to dwell on talking about, you know, male and female roles. Rather, we tend to talk about the formulation of helping relationships between people, and I think that makes it a lot easier to deal with, especially
It slips in every once in a while.
Right, yeah.
You know, that we do a sexist trip inadvertently.
Yeah, I can very vividly recall an incident just recently in the group where it was time to feed the animals, and we had to go way up to the other yard to pick up the hay and the alfalfa. And I asked if I could have 2 strong boys to go with me to help. And I realized right away that I didn't need 2 strong boys, but I needed 2 strong children, because the job was, you know, something that would require a certain amount of strength, not a whole lot. But that didn't necessarily have to be boys, but that was just my mindset, that it really was the boys who were the strong ones.
I think this whole opening up and freeing of the roles of the adults in terms of what you can do with the kids, what you can wear, for us as teachers, is really important as a role model for the kids. You know, being able to be with the man and do kinds of typically women things, or be with the women and do kind of typically man things.
As the classroom, as the school environment continues to become more and more surrogate family and extended family, as the nuclear family becomes smaller, we do in fact function as parents for the children. And to have a balanced family in a school environment in terms of both, men and women is important.
The whole message I want to convey to children, to parents, and to staff is that all of us are people first and foremost, and we are sex second, and that our relationships are person to person, and it's not either maleness or femaleness, it's peopleness.
I don't know, I just think that there's still a lot of open questions involved, and that our goal is not necessarily to make men and women the same, but the goal is more to discover what are some possible real significant differences.
You remember the noodles that we've had once before?
Yeah.
We decided we'd cook some more for snack today.
Is this a worm?
Huh?
Is this a worm?
No. Remember, these are noodles. Can we throw these away?
What is this for?
This is for the noodles that we're going to fry.
This.
See that? They go and help Francis on the other
Although
side?
teachers obviously have a strong influence on the school-age child, children themselves begin to exert an ever-increasing influence on each other. Pacific Oaks, as well as many secondary schools, has achieved a high measure of success in creating an atmosphere that shows children, we don't reject people who are different from the stereotypes. Neither should you. If you are a boy who wants to learn to cook, we will teach you. If you are a girl who enjoys math or science, we will encourage you. The values of these institutions filter down to the children, and they learn to accept each other as individuals. But the child must also learn how to deal with a world in which many stereotypes still abound.
This person who wrote this book really didn't understand what a lot of you understand, that moms and dads can do both things. Here it says, boys are strong and girls are graceful. Oh, what do we have here?
Doctor.
And this picture only shows a girl being a nurse, doesn't it? But boys are nurses too, and I think the person that wrote this book didn't understand that. So a lot of things this guy didn't know. Oh, here's boys build things and girls keep house. I'm glad you're a girl, and I'm glad you're a boy. We need each other, and that is absolutely true.
The experiments that our society is undertaking, both individually by families trying to rear their children in non-sexist ways, by the social movements that are going on, may turn out to be failures in the long run. That is to say, although they bring about changes, it may turn out that these changes are somehow not natural to human nature, whatever human nature is. And consequently, the next generation, the generation after that, may completely reject these ideas, may turn around and may say, we demand a differentiation. You've taken away from us cues that we consider very important. Give them back. Do not eliminate these crutches, these ideas that have straitjacketed people. They do have some function. Give us some aspect of them back. My guess is that there'll be sort of an interplay. We'll move along in one direction for a while, then we'll probably move back, and perhaps over the long run we'll find out what might be ideal for people as best we can.
Thank you, Jeremy, for the support via the Super Thanks button. Yeah, that film, 1974. And boy, it shows it, doesn't it? My soapbox, I'm going to get up on. Everybody should learn how to cook. Everybody should learn how to fix a toilet. Everybody should learn how to wash your clothes. Regardless, you know, I think that I should have been required to take home ec when I was in school, even though I was a college track person, because the 2 years of French that I took, I don't use those, but boy, I cook all the time and I clean all the time, and you know, it was awkward in college. I did not know how to do any of those things very well, so I think it's a good life skills. Also, how to balance your checkbook, your bank account, and learning what credit cards mean, and credit, and loans, and interest, all that stuff. Everybody should learn that, regardless of gender. Okay, let's see. What do I want to show you next? So this is where I make that decision. And so this one is fascinating. This came out in 1951. It is another March of Time. And boy, nation's mental health. Yeah. And we need some help. All of us.
Today, thousands of young Americans are entering the armed forces, but many others are being rejected. Easy to detect are the physical ills which disqualify a man. Much less obvious are the sicknesses of the mind, yet they are fully as grave and as alarming. Rejected by the armed forces, an emotionally unstable individual is turned back into society to become lost again, one among the nearly 7 million Americans suffering from some form of emotional or mental ill health. Today, mental illness is by way of becoming America's #1 health problem. For years, what was called insanity was regarded as a problem for each state to solve as best it could. In nearly all state mental hospitals, little more than custodial care was provided. Few who were committed could hope to return to society. Many whose illnesses were comparatively mild at the start became increasingly worse until all hope of recovery vanished. Shocked by the appalling percentage of the emotionally unstable revealed by the World War II draft figures, Congress in 1946 passed the National Mental Health Act, which recognized for the first time that mental illness was a national problem. Witness to the government's intention to act is a huge modern building going up at Bethesda, Maryland, to house, among other groups, the National Institute of Mental Health, created by the National Mental Health Act. Keenly aware of the tremendous problems ahead is Dr. Robert H. Felix, director of the vast new project.
A primary objective of the National Mental Health Program is to increase our fund of scientific knowledge about mental health and about mental illness. Meanwhile, we should make full use of existing knowledge. We're not doing this. Why? Because there are not enough community mental health services, because there is not enough public understanding of the importance of mental health, and because there are all too few skilled mental health workers.
Largest U.S. training center for mental health workers is Topeka, Kansas, where 3 separate hospitals cooperate in an intensive program. Located at Topeka is the Menninger Clinic. Its teaching staff makes possible a 3-year training course for about 100 doctors who use the facilities of the cooperating hospitals. Dr. William C. Menninger, General Secretary of the Menninger Foundation, was Chief of Neuropsychiatry for the U.S. Army during World War II. His brother, Dr. Carl A. Menninger, is a trustee of the foundation and is Director of Education. Training is available not only for doctors, but also for other psychiatric personnel. To Topeka has also come the Veterans Administration, which cooperates in the effort to build up adequate personnel. Winter Hospital, with 1,400 beds, is one of its largest training hospitals. Psychiatric nurses and psychiatric aides spend more time with patients than any other members of the hospital staff. Their role is major, and their professions grow in stature year by year. The aides, who in the past mainly acted as guards, today take a helpful part in the therapy which is designed to bring disturbed patients back to reality. To be eligible for training as a psychiatrist, the doctor must be a graduate of an approved medical school and must have completed 1 year of general internship in an approved hospital. When the young doctor enters psychiatric training, he finds he must learn new procedures, terms, and treatment methods. One thing is most familiar, and he is reminded of its importance regularly, and that is the physical examination. In today's belief that almost every illness is a combination of physical and emotional factors, the psychiatrist must be able to diagnose and prescribe treatment in the light of both. Working closely with the psychiatrist is the clinical psychologist, who contributes special skills and knowledge to the diagnosis and treatment of mental and emotional disorders. While the psychiatrist seldom gives these tests, which determine a patient's mental capacity and provide understanding of his mental problems, he must have a working knowledge of them and their evaluation. The psychiatrist must also learn the vital importance of taking the patient's history in a way which will establish confidence and encourage the patient to recall seemingly unimportant details with complete freedom.
I'm going to ask you some very specific questions, Mr. Jones, because we won't have you here for very long. If you have no objection, you just answer them, and if you have some objections, then say so, and we won't go on with those questions. Now, I'd like very much to know about your babyhood. Were you told that you ever had any difficulty with feeding or anything of that sort?
No, not that I remember.
You started school at about what age?
About 5 years old, I believe.
Uh-huh. And where did you start in school? In the kindergarten?
Yes, sir.
How did you get along?
Well, fine, as well as I remember.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any particular teachers that you liked, anything of the sort?
I liked all my teachers except one, I remember.
Well, what was the trouble with this one?
I don't know, she just scared me most of the time. Holler at me and I'd run outside and vomit.
I see.
As his training progresses, the young psychiatrist learns the various techniques which will be at his disposal and how to use them. Among these are such physical methods as electric shock. Electric shock is used most frequently to relieve depression. Another form of physical treatment is the administration of insulin. Patients so sick they cannot even talk are frequently able to cooperate with the doctor after insulin injections. Properly used, such treatment has helped extreme cases of anxiety. In certain chronic illnesses, brain surgery may be indicated. A chemical such as sodium amytal is often administered by the psychiatrist in order to enable the patient to overcome an emotional block. It must be just enough to put the patient into a state between sleep and waking, so that he may be able to express his feelings more freely. Many persons think that psychiatry consists of only one thing, psychoanalysis. Actually, psychoanalysis is a prolonged and very specialized form of treatment. It properly can be given only by a doctor qualified as a psychiatrist and fully trained in the exact specialty of psychoanalysis. Treatment may go on for years. Cornerstone of psychotherapy is the relationship between the doctor and patient, most often established in the interview face to face. In such interviews, the doctor leads the patient to gain better insight into his own behavior.
Well, I got nervous and irritable. So I couldn't get along with people. I couldn't hold down a job. I had to be doing something all the time, but yet I couldn't hold down a job. I got to keep doing something. Smoking cigarettes or doing something with my hands all the time.
Like your cigarette lighter now?
Yes, I need something done. I need some help.
Effective in helping patients release emotional tension is drama therapy. In this group treatment, the psychiatrist sets up a situation and assigns the patients to act it out. Each patient is asked to react without thinking too carefully about what he ought to say. The patient named as principal actor pretends he is a young man whose father has complained about his keeping late hours. As he warms to the make-believe role, the patient looses a torrent of words in which the doctor may find clues to the underlying causes of his illness. Then the group reviews the situation.
But Joe, your father was only trying to help you.
Joe don't want to be helped. Remember when I tried to teach you to shoot pool?
You know, Joe, sometimes a fella can't make it all on his own. Sometimes he needs a little help. On the scene here, it was your father, maybe a friend. In the hospital, maybe a doctor.
The psychiatrist must learn which of the various occupational therapies to prescribe for a patient during the course of his treatment. In addition to occupying his time, the patient also may be learning a new vocation. In the hospital's own radio station, an activity helpful for certain patients provides entertainment for many.
I cannot deny, I bid my heart goodbye when the echo of your footsteps died away.
That record we just brought you was a favorite of Eddie Arnold's. It was a request from Joe Balmer and Bob Burns down on A5.
When a patient paints pictures or models in clay, the psychiatrist learns to appraise this work carefully and thereby gains insight into the nature of the illness.
This patient worked in clay. He was too compliant. Anybody could push him around. What he thought of himself is shown by this first self-portrait, childlike and undeveloped. It took him 6 months to admit his illness. By calling this inner strife, he frankly admitted that he needed help. It was a long while later that he developed the large aggressive piece.
When his training is complete, one of the most important roles a psychiatrist may assume is director of a community mental health clinic, of which there are about 500 in the U.S. today. Working at the community level, the clinic deals with mental health problems which, although minor at the outset, may develop into major disorders. At such clinics, the psychiatrist is customarily assisted by a clinical psychologist and a social worker. To them come cases like that of Martha Warren, 15 years old.
Mrs. Mars, what do you have on the Warren girl?
Her father, Thomas Warren, came to us 2 weeks ago and told us about their difficulties.
I've been having some trouble with my daughter, Martha. A while back, she was babysitting at a neighbor's and stole some money.
Mr. Warren told how he'd paid back the money. The neighbor suggested that Martha see a doctor, but that very night the girl ran away from home. Finally, Martha came back, but again she stole some money, this time from her mother. Remembering what the neighbor had said, Mr. Warren was now appealing to the guidance center for help. When the social worker called on Martha's mother, she heard a story of hard times. It was capped by a fire 2 years before when the Warrens lost nearly everything. Mrs. Warren had had to take a job, and she considered it only natural that Martha should do most of the housework. When Martha came to the guidance center, she appeared indifferent and sometimes resentful. The clinical psychologist, through a series of tests, sought better understanding of her problem, a clue to why she was stealing money. When she came to talk to the psychiatrist, Martha was almost sullen. By her terse answers, she made it plain she didn't want to be cooperative. Using patience and tact, the psychiatrist slowly succeeded in breaking her shell of indifference.
But your mother does have to work, doesn't she?
I guess so. Well, why do I have to do all the dirty work? Keeping house, I hate it. And I hate my mother for making me do it.
Your mother is tired when she comes home?
I suppose so. Well, why doesn't she make my brothers do some of it? Oh, they're too good for that. She's always on their side.
How do you mean, Martha?
Well, after the fire, we got the insurance money. We all needed new clothes. My brothers just got about everything they wanted. But when I'd ask for anything, Mother'd always say, "Oh, you can make your old ones do."
Do you recall any particular time when your mother played favorites?
Once she promised to get me a new sweater. My other one was old, and I didn't like it.
When Martha's younger brother raced home to announce he'd have to have new track shoes if he was to win Saturday's race, Mrs. Warren hesitated only a moment before deciding that Martha could wait for her new sweater.
But you promised.
From such incidents, uncovered during several interviews, the psychiatrist pieced together the pattern of Martha's growing resentment, a resentment that had found outlet in her antisocial behavior. Soon it was no longer Martha's nightly chore to do the supper dishes all alone. Understanding had brought harmony to the Warren household, and the guidance clinic could take credit for forestalling a possible case of delinquency. Promoting the cause of prevention and treatment of mental illness at the community level, the National Association for Mental Health has been formed as a coordinating agency. Utilizing many means of communication, from specially prepared comic books to stage plays, the association seeks to get across to the general public the central truths about mental and emotional problems. At the same time, it is welding cities into a nationwide network. Heading the association is Orrin Root, New York lawyer. Medical director is psychiatrist Dr. George S. Stevenson, a leader in the mental health field.
And in concluding this report, Mr. Root, I'd like to mention that the people of Fitchburg, Massachusetts have just organized their own mental health society.
What we have to have is 5,000 societies of this kind, hundreds of thousands of people all over the country working at this job. We can help them get organized, but in the last analysis, it's they, the people in the communities, who have to do the job.
Throughout America, in every city and town, the family doctor has the best opportunity for detecting and preventing mental illness. The spiritual leaders of the community have always been conscious of their role in maintaining among their parishioners not only moral equilibrium, but also peace of mind. The schools of the nation more and more are recognizing that they are dealing not only with the mind, but with the emotional development of youth. But in the last analysis, a healthy mental state is fostered by the understanding and cooperation of the parents of the nation. For in bringing into America's homes the simple concepts of shared affection, shared activity, and mutual respect for the individual, whether parent or child, with the best hope for an ever-increasing betterment of health. Time marches on.
I think, I mean, this is because my parents were all social workers, but I feel like society, how they treat their mentally ill, is really a barometer to how the society is. You know, a lot of people go through rough stuff, and I know a lot of us are going through rough stuff right now. And I'm actually in therapy for the first time ever because of hard stuff I've lost. So there's no shame in that. And sometimes it's really helpful to have somebody you're not related to that you can sit and gripe to and kind of talk about fears and joys and frustrations and sources of anxiety. So I'm sure some of us, and you don't have to say in the comments, are also going through therapy. So it's worth it. It's really helped me a lot. So anyways, I want to say that over the weekend I did something that gives me a great amount of joy, but it totally exhausts me, and that is I did Dismember the Alamo, where we showed 4 horror movies, and I think I did 5 costume changes for various skits and various things that we did during the film. My favorite thing was during a film Popcorn, which is about a movie marathon, there's a thing with a giant mosquito. And so what I did is I took a little Bluetooth speaker and I had it playing a mosquito loop of this buzzing mosquito, and we would sneak up behind people in their seats and we would kind of put it near their ears and people would be like, so good. And so that's what gives me joy is besides showing you films and spending time with you, it's also tormenting people in a movie theater for 7 hours. Anyways, thank you so much for joining us. If you like what you saw, or at least like what we're doing, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't done it in a while, do it again. How about that? You can also subscribe. You can also hit the notification bell. Sometimes that works. And you can also donate via the Super Thanks button, which some people did. So thank you for that. And you can also go to ko-fi.com/avgeeks, which is kind of like a subscription tip jar where you can give us a little bit of money each month. Patreon.com, same thing. And all that money is going to go towards renting stuff or buying little Bluetooth speakers so we can torment people. The other things that we do at AV Geeks. So thanks again. We will be back again tomorrow. Everybody have a great rest of your day. We love you. Take care.